All hope faded for the galaxy until one human warship changed everything. Part 1: The Last Broadcast. The old's hands shook as he pressed the transmission button. Had lived for 300 years and he had never known fear like this. The great chamber of the Galactic Council was empty now. The seats where representatives from 1,000 worlds once sat were covered in dust and darkness. Only emergency lights remained, casting long shadows across the floor. "This is," he said into the microphone. His voice was tired and broken. "I am sending this message to all remaining civilizations. The war is lost. The Devourer fleet has taken 73% of known space. Our great fleets are destroyed. The Empire has fallen. The Collective is scattered. The Federation exists no more." He paused and looked at the stars through the station's massive window. Somewhere out there, the enemy was coming, always coming. "Save what you can," continued. "Flee to the outer rim, find somewhere to hide. This is my final broadcast. May the stars protect you all." He ended the transmission and sat down heavily in his chair. For 18 months, the galaxy had burned. The Devourer fleet had come from the void between galaxies, a massive armada of ships that consumed everything in their path. No one knew what they wanted. No one knew how to stop them. They simply destroyed and moved on. Closed his eyes, he was ready to die. Far across the galaxy, in an asteroid field near the border of human space, a small warship received the transmission. The HSS Resolve was not a large ship. It was a mid-sized destroyer, designed for patrol missions and light combat. For 2 years, it had been cut off from Earth's main fleet, surviving on salvage and luck. The crew of 240 humans had become experts at hiding and running. Captain Park One listened to this message in silence. He was a tall man in his 40s with gray in his black hair and deep lines on his face. 2 years of war had aged him. 2 years of watching his crew die slowly, ship by ship, battle by battle. "That's it then," said Lieutenant Commander Hana from her station. She was his tactical officer, a woman known for thinking in ways that surprised everyone. "The Council has given up. It's officially over." "Nothing is over until we say it is," Park replied, though his voice lacked conviction. The bridge was quiet. Everyone had heard the message. Everyone knew what it meant. The great powers of the galaxy had fallen. Humanity's small fleet was nothing compared to what the Devourers had already destroyed. "Sir," said the communications officer, "we're receiving another signal. It's a distress call." Park turned. "From where?" "A refugee convoy, 200,000 civilians from 12 different species. They're trapped in the passage. Devourer scouts have found them." The bridge went silent again. The passage was far from their position, but not impossibly far. 3 days at maximum speed. "Our orders are to retreat to Earth," Hana said carefully, "if Earth is even still there." Park knew she was right. Their duty was to their own people. Earth needed every ship it could get. The Resolve was damaged, low on supplies, and exhausted. Going to the convoy would be suicide. He pulled up the distress signal and listened. "Please," a voice said through static. "Anyone who can hear this. We have children here, we have elderly, we have nowhere to go. The Devourers are closing in. Please, someone, anyone." Park looked at his crew. They were watching him, waiting. He saw fear in their eyes, but he saw something else too, something that made him proud to be human. "Set course for the passage," he ordered. "Captain," Hana said, stepping closer to his chair, "we can't win this fight, you know that." "I know," Park said, "but we can buy them time. We can give them a chance to run." "We'll die." "Maybe," Park stood and faced his bridge crew, "but I didn't join the fleet to run away while civilians are slaughtered. None of you did either." Chief Engineer Sung Ho's voice came through the intercom. He was a pessimistic man who complained about everything, but he kept the ship running when it should have fallen apart long ago. "Captain, I should tell you that our engines are barely holding together. If we push them to maximum speed for 3 days, they might fail. If we enter combat after that, they will definitely fail." "Can you fix them?" Park asked. "I can try, I always try. One day I will fail, but today is not that day, probably." Dr. Jin entered the bridge. She was the ship's medical officer, a small woman with kind eyes and steady hands. She had been a combat medic before joining the Resolve, and she had seen more death than anyone should. "I heard the distress call," she said. "I'm preparing the medical bay for casualties, both ours and theirs." Park nodded. "Thank you, Doctor." "Captain," Jin said softly, "my oath is to save lives, all lives. I think you're making the right choice." Hana sighed and returned to her station. "Fine, if we're doing this, we're doing it properly. I'll work on battle plans. Maybe I can find some way to hurt them before they kill us. The Resolve's engines powered up. The old ship groaned and shook, but it moved. Slowly, it turned away from the safety of the asteroid field and pointed toward danger. Park sat back in his chair and watched the stars streak past as they entered faster-than-light travel. 3 days to prepare for a battle they could not win, 3 days to find hope where there was none. Somewhere in the galaxy sat alone, waiting for death. Somewhere else, 200,000 refugees prayed for a miracle. And in a small human warship, a tired captain made a choice that would change everything. "Hannah," Park said quietly, "why do you think we do this?" She looked at him. "Do what?" "Fight when we can't win, help people we don't know, throw our lives away for strangers." Hannah thought for a moment. "I don't know, Captain, I think it's just who we are. Humans have always been like this. We see someone in trouble and we can't walk away, even when we should." Park nodded slowly. "My grandfather used to say something. He said that being human means carrying hope for others when they can't carry it themselves." "Your grandfather was wise." "He was a fisherman, he never even left Earth." Park smiled sadly. "But he understood something that the great empires forgot. You don't fight because you can win, you fight because fighting is right." The Resolve flew on through the darkness, a small spark of defiance in an ocean of despair. Behind them, the safe path to Earth grew farther away. Ahead of them, almost certain death waited. But also ahead of them were 200,000 people who needed help. And that was enough. The stars watched in silence as one small ship carried the last hope of a galaxy that had already surrendered. The crew of the Resolve did not know that their choice would become legend. They did not know that their actions would unite civilizations. They only knew that people needed help and they could give it. For Captain Park 1 and his crew, that was the only reason they needed. The journey to the passage had begun. All hope faded for the galaxy until one human warship changed everything. Part 2: The Impossible Stand. The passage was a narrow corridor of space between two unstable nebulae. The clouds of gas and radiation on each side made travel impossible except through this one path. It was the perfect place for an escape. It was also the perfect place for a trap. The Resolve dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the passage. The view on the main screen made everyone on the bridge stop breathing. The refugee convoy was there, 47 ships of different sizes and shapes carrying 200,000 lives from 12 different species. They were slow and poorly armed. Most were civilian transports never designed for war. 3 damaged escort frigates flew around them, trying to protect them, and attacking those frigates were 15 Devourer ships. The Devourers were terrifying to look at. Their ships were part machine and part living creature, covered in dark metal and pulsing organic tissue. They moved like predators, fast and hungry. 15 against 3, Lieutenant Commander Hana said. "Those escorts are almost finished." Captain Park 1 studied the battle. The escort ships were fighting bravely, but they were outmatched. One was already on fire. Another had lost half its hull. The third was barely moving. "Open a channel to the convoy," Park ordered. The communications officer worked quickly. "Channel open, sir." "This is Captain Park 1 of the human warship Resolve. We are here to help. All civilian ships, begin moving through the passage immediately. We will cover your escape." For a moment there was only silence. Then a voice came through, rough and filled with disbelief. "Human vessel, this is Fleet Commander of the Collective. Did you say you are here to help?" "That is correct, Commander." "Why?" The question was simple but heavy. "Everyone else ignored our calls. The great fleets are destroyed. Why would one small human ship come to die with us?" Park smiled grimly. "Because someone has to. Now please, Commander, get your convoy moving. We don't have much time." The convoy began to move. Slowly, the civilian ships turned toward the passage, their engines struggling to gain speed. "Hana," Park said, "Protocol Lighthouse." His tactical officer nodded. She had helped design this protocol during their 2 years of running and hiding. It was simple but dangerous. The Resolve would become the target on the battlefield, drawing all enemy fire while others escaped. "All power to weapons and shields," Hana announced, "reducing life support to minimum. Engineering, I need everything you can give me." Chief Engineer Sung Ho's voice came through the intercom. "You want miracles? Fine, I will give you miracles, but when this ship falls apart, don't blame me." The Resolve surged forward directly toward the Devourer ships. Its weapons opened fire, energy beams cutting through space. Two Devourer scouts exploded immediately, caught by surprise. That got their attention, Hana reported. Indeed, the remaining 13 Devourer ships turned away from the damaged escorts and focused on this new threat. Good, Park said, keep them looking at us. The battle became chaos. The Resolve twisted and turned through enemy fire, its human crew working together with speed and precision that no computer could match. Hana called out targets and the weapons officers destroyed them, kept the shields running when they should have failed. Dr. Jin stood ready in the medical bay, treating the wounded as they came. But the Devourers were many, and the Resolve was only one ship. An explosion rocked the bridge, sparks flew from damaged consoles, the lights flickered. Hull breach on deck 7, someone shouted. Seal it, Park ordered, keep firing. Hana was studying the nebulae on each side of the passage. Her mind was working on something. She suddenly smiled. Captain, the nebulae contain unstable particles. If we detonate a torpedo inside the gas cloud, it will create a chain reaction, like setting fire to fuel. Park understood immediately. You want to use the nebula as a weapon. The explosion won't hurt us if we position ourselves correctly, but it will destroy anything caught in the blast. Do it. Hana calculated the angles and fired a single torpedo into the edge of the nearest nebula. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the cloud of gas erupted in a wave of fire and radiation that swept across the battlefield. 4 Devourer ships were caught in the blast. They burned and died, their bodies unable to survive the radiation surge. 7 down, Hana reported, 8 remaining. But the Resolve had paid a price. The shockwave from the explosion had damaged their already weak shields. Another hit would tear through the hull. Convoy status, Park asked. 60% through the passage. They need more time. Park gripped his chair as another explosion shook the ship. Warning lights flashed everywhere. The air smelled of smoke and burning metal. Shields at 12%, Hana said. We can't take much more. Fleet Commander's voice came through the communications channel. His damaged frigate had moved alongside the Resolve, providing what little support it could. Human Captain, you are insane. Why do you not retreat? Your ship is dying. The convoy isn't safe yet, Park replied simply. You will die for people you have never met, people from species that are not your own. I do not understand. You don't have to understand, Commander. You just have to live. Get your ships through the passage. We'll hold them here. Was silent for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was different, softer. I have fought many battles in my life. I have seen brave warriors from many species, but I have never seen anything like this. You humans, you fight like you have nothing to lose. We have everything to lose, Park said. That's why we fight. The battle continued. The Resolve destroyed 2 more Devourer ships, but suffered heavy damage in return. Deck after deck reported casualties. The engines were failing. The weapons were overheating. But the convoy kept moving. Ship after ship disappeared into the safety of the passage. Last ship is through, Hana announced. The convoy is safe. Park allowed himself one moment of relief, then another impact threw him from his chair. The main screen cracked, half the bridge consoles went dark. Shields gone, Hana reported, pulling herself up. Hull integrity at 40%. Captain, we need to leave, now. Park nodded. All power to engines. Get us into that passage. The Resolve limped away from the battlefield, chased by the 6 remaining Devourer ships, performed impossible repairs while the ship moved, keeping the engines running through pure stubbornness. They entered the passage just as their pursuers began to follow, but the narrow corridor worked in their favor now. The Devourer ships could not surround them, they could only chase. Hana fired one last torpedo, not at the enemy, but at the unstable nebula wall beside them. The explosion collapsed part of the passage behind them, creating a barrier of radiation and debris. They won't be able to follow for at least 6 hours, Hana said. Enough time for repairs. Park leaned back in his damaged chair and breathed. Around him, his crew was battered and bleeding, but alive. Their ship was broken, but still flying. Damage report, he asked. The list was long, 47 crew members dead, over 100 wounded, multiple hull breaches, half the weapons destroyed, engines barely functional. But 200,000 civilians were safe. Fleet Commander contacted them again as the convoy regrouped on the other side of the passage. Captain Park, I have seen many things in this war. I have seen great empires fall and proud warriors surrender. But today I saw something new. I saw hope. We just did what needed to be done, Commander. No, said firmly. You did what no one else would do. The galaxy has forgotten how to fight. We have forgotten why we fight. You reminded us. He paused. The Devourer main fleet has detected this battle. They will send more ships, many more, but there is a place we can go. A hidden station where survivors are gathering. I would like you to come with us. Park looked at his crew. They were exhausted and hurt, but in their eyes he saw something that had been missing for 2 years. Purpose. We would be honored, Commander, Park said. The convoy began its journey to the hidden station, and in the damaged bridge of the Resolve, a crew of tired humans allowed themselves to believe that maybe, just maybe, the war was not over yet. The impossible stand at passage was complete. The legend of the Resolve had begun. All hope faded for the galaxy until one human warship changed everything. Part 3: The Gathering. Haven Station was hidden inside a hollowed asteroid, deep in a region of space that no star maps showed. For months, it had served as the last gathering point for refugees and survivors from across the galaxy. Ships arrived every day, carrying the broken remains of once great civilizations. The Resolve docked at Haven 2 days after the battle at Passage. The ship looked terrible, covered in burn marks and patches of emergency repairs, but it flew, and that was enough. Captain Park One stepped onto the station and stopped in surprise. Hundreds of aliens lined the docking area, watching him and his crew. They were from dozens of different species, tall with their gray skin and 4 eyes, armored warriors, slender with their feathered crests, and many others Park had never seen before. For a moment no one moved, then slowly the crowd began to applaud. The sound echoed through the station, growing louder and louder. Fleet Commander approached Park with something like a smile on his scaled face. Your battle has been transmitted across the refugee network. Everyone has seen what you did. One small ship against 15 devourers. You have become famous, Captain. Park felt uncomfortable with the attention. We just did our job. No, said, you did what everyone else refused to do. That is why they cheer. A human woman pushed through the crowd. She wore diplomatic clothes and had tired but determined eyes. Captain Park, I'm Ambassador Shin Bora. Please come with me. There's someone who wants to meet you. Bora led Park through the station's crowded corridors. Haven was not designed to hold this many people. Refugees slept in hallways and storage rooms. Children from different species played together while their parents watched with hollow eyes. How many people are here? Park asked. Almost 500,000 now. More arrive every day. Bora's voice was heavy. We're running out of food, medicine, and space, but the bigger problem is that no one can agree on what to do next. They entered a large meeting room. A holographic map of the galaxy floated in the center, showing the spread of Devourer-controlled space like a dark stain. Standing around the map were several figures. Park recognized Commander. There was also a tall who looked ancient and tired, and a fierce-looking with red feathers and angry eyes. But the figure that surprised Park most was a human man in an admiral's uniform. He was older, with white hair and a face that showed years of hard decisions. Captain Park, the admiral said, extending his hand. I'm Admiral Omin. We thought I was the last senior human officer in this sector. I'm glad to be wrong. Park shook his hand. Admiral, we heard you were killed at the Battle of Nexus Prime. Almost my ship was destroyed, but I escaped. I've been here for 6 months trying to organize a resistance. The Admiral's expression was grim. It hasn't been easy. The with red feathers stepped forward. He was large and muscular, with scars covering his arms and face. His eyes burned with anger. So this is the famous human hero, he said, his voice mocking. I am War Chief. My fleet once numbered 1,000 ships. Now I have 17, and you expect me to follow humans. No one expects anything, Park replied calmly. We're here to help, not to lead. Help laughed bitterly. Humanity has been among the stars for only 300 years. My people have traveled space for 10,000. What can you teach us about war? Lieutenant Commander Hana had followed Park into the room. She had been quiet until now, but words made her anger rise. What can we teach you? She said, stepping forward. We can teach you how to fight when you have nothing. We can teach you how to win when winning is impossible. Glared at her, you are bold for someone so young. And you are a coward for someone so experienced. The room went silent. His hand moved toward his weapon. His warriors tensed. Hana, Park warned. But Hana did not stop. While your 1,000 ships were running and hiding, one human destroyer saved 200,000 lives. While you sit here arguing about old grudges, the devourers burn everything we love. Maya's under siege right now. My family might be dead, but I'm here, fighting for people I've never met, because that's what humans do. Her voice cracked with emotion, but she continued. You want to know what we can teach you? We can teach you that hope is not something you wait for, it's something you create, with your own hands, with your own blood, even when you have no reason to believe. Stared at her for a long moment. Something shifted in his eyes, not anger anymore, but something else. He slowly removed his hand from his weapon. You speak with fire, he said quietly. I have not heard such fire in a long time. Admiral O stepped between them. We all have reasons to be angry, we all have losses to mourn, but the devourers don't care about our history or our grudges. They will destroy us all equally if we don't work together. The old spoke for the first time. I sent the final broadcast, the one declaring the war lost. I was wrong. He looked at Park. Your ship gave me hope again, Captain, but hope alone is not enough. We need a plan. Admiral O activated the holographic map. A single point of light appeared near the center of Devourer-controlled space. This is the Devourer command ship. It coordinates their entire fleet. Our scouts have confirmed its location near the Fallen. You want to attack it, said. It was not a question. I want to destroy it. Without the command ship, the Devourer fleet will lose coordination. Their ships are powerful individually, but their true strength comes from working together as one mind. Kill the mind and the body dies. The command ship is surrounded by 500 Devourer vessels, Commander pointed out. We have 47 ships. How do you propose we survive long enough to reach it? Admiral O smiled slightly. That's where human tactics come in. Over the next hour, he explained the plan. The fleet would launch a diversionary attack, drawing Devourer ships away from the command vessel. A small strike team would use the chaos to board the command ship and plant a disruption device designed to destroy its central consciousness. It's suicide, said. The strike team will never escape. Probably not, Admiral O agreed. That's why I'm asking for volunteers. I'll lead the strike team, Hana said immediately. Park turned to her. Lieutenant Commander. You need to command the fleet, Captain. Someone has to lead the ground assault. I know the plan. I helped design half of it. It should be me. Park wanted to argue, but he saw the determination in her eyes. He nodded slowly. I will go with her, said. Everyone stared at him in surprise. What? You humans have shown me something today. Perhaps it is time for me to remember what honor means. Over the following days, the fleet prepared. Ships were repaired. Weapons were upgraded. Chief engineer combined human and technology to create new systems that had never existed before. Dr. Jin worked in the medical bays alongside alien doctors. She taught them human techniques, and they taught her theirs. Slowly, walls between species began to fall. Ambassador Shin Bora moved through the station, talking to leaders and refugees alike. She listened to their fears and their hopes. She reminded them what they were fighting for. On the final night before the fleet launched, made a broadcast to everyone on Haven Station. Tomorrow we go to war, not as separate species fighting for ourselves, but as one people fighting for our future. The humans have given us a name. They call themselves the species that refused to surrender. Tomorrow we all become that species. Park stood on the bridge of the Resolve, looking at the stars. Ha-Na joined him. Do you think we can win? She asked. I think we have to try, Park replied. That's all anyone can do. Hana nodded. Then let's make it count. The fleet powered up, 47 ships from 7 civilizations, united by desperation and hope. It was not much against the might of the Devourers. But it was everything they had. And sometimes everything is enough. All hope faded for the galaxy, until one human warship changed everything. Part 4, The Last Fleet. The void between star systems was cold and empty. No planets, no stations, no life, just darkness stretching forever in all directions. This was where the last fleet gathered before their final mission. 47 ships hung in formation, their running lights the only brightness in the endless black. They were a strange collection, sleek cruisers, heavy warships, fast fighters, and vessels from 4 other species. At the center of the formation flew the HSS Resolve, battered but proud. Captain Park 1 stood on his bridge, studying the holographic display that showed their target. The Devourer command ship was massive, larger than a small moon. It pulsed with dark energy, its surface covered with weapons and sensors. Around it, over 500 Devourer vessels waited like hungry predators. Final briefing in 10 minutes, Admiral O's voice came through the fleet-wide channel. All commanders report to the tactical display. Park nodded to his bridge crew and activated his holographic communicator. The faces of the other commanders appeared around him, commander with his scaled features, war chief with his fierce eyes, and leaders from every species in the fleet. Admiral O appeared at the center of the display. He looked tired but determined. "This is it," the Admiral said. "Everything we've worked for comes down to the next few hours. I won't lie to you. Many of us won't survive this day, but if we succeed, we give the galaxy a chance to live." He pointed at the tactical display. "The Resolve will lead the assault wing. Captain Park will coordinate our attack, drawing the Devourer ships away from the command vessel. While they're focused on us, the strike team will approach from the far side and board the enemy." Lieutenant Commander Hana's face appeared in the display. She was already aboard the strike team's shuttle with war chief and volunteers from every species. "Strike team is ready," she reported. "We have the disruption device. Once we reach the command ship's core and plant it, the central consciousness will be destroyed." "How long will you need?" Park asked. 30 minutes once we're inside, maybe less if we're lucky." Luck said with a grim smile. "I stopped believing in luck a long time ago, but I believe in determination, and I believe in the warriors on this shuttle." Admiral O nodded. "The assault wing needs to hold the Devourer fleet's attention for at least 45 minutes. That means no retreat, no matter how bad things get. Can you do it, Captain Park?" Park looked at the display showing 500 enemy ships. 45 minutes against those numbers was almost impossible. Almost. "We'll do it," he said. The briefing ended. Park returned to his command chair and looked at his crew. They were scared. He could see it in their eyes, but they were also ready. Chief Engineer Sung Ho's voice came through the intercom. "Captain, I've finished the modifications. We now have weapons that combine human targeting systems with power cores and shield generators. This ship is something new, something the Devourers have never seen before." "Will it work?" Park asked. "Probably, maybe, I honestly don't know, but it's our best chance." Dr. Jin entered the bridge. She rarely came here, but today was different. "I've prepared the medical bay for mass casualties. My team is ready." She paused. "I also wanted to say something to all of you." The bridge crew turned to look at her. "When I became a doctor, I took an oath to save lives, all lives. Today we fight so that billions of lives across the galaxy have a future. That's worth everything we're risking. I'm proud to serve with all of you." Park smiled. "Thank you, Doctor. That means more than you know." Commander's voice came through the communications channel. "Human vessel, I am detecting movement in your fleet. The strike team is preparing to launch." Park checked his display. Hana's shuttle was separating from the fleet, beginning its long journey around the battlefield to approach the command ship from an unexpected angle. "Hana," Park said on a private channel, "be careful." "You too, Captain," her voice was steady. "See you on the other side." The shuttle disappeared into the darkness. Admiral O's voice echoed across the fleet. "All ships, this is Admiral O. Today we write history. Today we prove that hope is not dead. Today we show the Devourers that the galaxy will not surrender. All ships, engage." The fleet jumped into faster-than-light travel. The stars stretched into lines of light. For a few seconds there was silence. Then the Resolve dropped out of hyperspace directly in front of the Devourer command ship. The main screen filled with enemy vessels. They were everywhere, a swarm of nightmares made real. "They're targeting us," the weapons officer reported. "Multiple locks detected." "All power to forward shields," Park ordered. "Fire everything we have." The battle began. The Resolve's new weapons blazed to life, destroying 2 Devourer scouts before they could react. Around the human ship, the rest of the fleet engaged. Energy beams and missiles filled space with light and fire. The Devourers responded with overwhelming force. 12 Allied ships were destroyed in the first minute. "Hold the line," Park shouted into the fleet channel. "Keep them focused on us." Commander's cruiser took position beside the Resolve, providing covering fire. "We are with you, Captain, to the end." War Chief's voice came from the strike team's shuttle. "We see the battle from here. You're doing well. Keep them busy." "Easy for you to say," muttered from engineering. The battle became a nightmare of chaos and destruction. Ships exploded all around the Resolve. Friends died screaming on communications channels, but the human crew kept fighting. Park used tactics the Devourers had never encountered: unpredictable movements, false retreats that became sudden attacks, and coordinated strikes that hit multiple enemies at once. The human style of warfare confused the enemy's predictive systems. "Their algorithms can't read us," Hana had once explained. "They expect logic, we give them chaos." 20 minutes into the battle, the Allied fleet had lost 18 ships, but the Devourers had lost over 60, and they were completely focused on the assault wing. "Strike team has reached the command ship," reported. "We're going in." Park felt a moment of hope, then a massive explosion threw him from his chair. "Hull breach on multiple decks," shouted. "Shields are failing." "Reroute power from non-essential systems," Park ordered, pulling himself up. "We need 15 more minutes." A Devourer cruiser was bearing down on them, weapons charging. Commander's ship moved between them, taking the hit. "Commander," Park shouted. "I'm still here," responded, his voice strained. "But my ship won't last much longer. It has been an honor, Captain Park." "Don't you die on me, Commander. We're all getting out of this." "Humans," said with something like affection, "always believing in miracles." The resolve shook again, more warning lights, more damage reports, but they kept fighting. On the bridge, every crew member gave everything they had. Navigation officers calculated impossible maneuvers. Weapons teams fired until their consoles overheated. Medical crews raced from crisis to crisis. They were not just fighting for themselves anymore. They were fighting for the strike team, for the refugees at Haven, for every person in the galaxy who still dared to hope. 25 minutes, Park said to himself, just 20 more minutes. Through the chaos, he watched the command ship on his display. Somewhere inside that massive vessel, Hana and were fighting their own battle. Park closed his eyes for 1 second and made a silent promise. "Hold on, Hana, we'll give you all the time you need." The battle raged on, ships fell, heroes died, but the last fleet did not break. They held the line because they knew what was at stake. 20 minutes had never seemed so long. But humanity had always been stubborn about impossible odds. And today, stubborn would have to be enough. All hope faded for the galaxy, until one human warship changed everything. Part 5: Everything Changed. The inside of the Devourer command ship was a nightmare. Walls of dark metal merged with pulsing organic tissue. The air was thick and wrong, filled with a smell that made Lieutenant Commander Hana want to vomit, but she kept moving forward, her weapon ready, her mind focused. War Chief walked beside her, his massive body tense for combat. Behind them, 12 volunteers from different species followed, the last survivors of a strike team that had started with 30. "The core should be just ahead," Hana said, checking her scanner. "Good," replied. "I grow tired of this place." They had been fighting through the ship for 25 minutes. Devourer drones had attacked them at every turn, soldiers that felt no pain and no fear. The team had lost half their number pushing forward. They entered a massive chamber and stopped. The core of the command ship floated before them, a giant sphere of living tissue and crystal, pulsing with energy. Inside it, Hana could see something moving, a consciousness, the mind that controlled the entire Devourer fleet. "Set the device," ordered. Hana moved forward and placed the disruption device against the core. The machine hummed as it activated, beginning its work. Then the readings changed. Hana's blood went cold. "It's not working," she said. "The consciousness is too vast. The device isn't strong enough to destroy it." "Cursed, then we die for nothing." Hana's mind raced. There had to be a way. There was always a way. She looked at the device, then at her neural implant, the small chip in her skull that helped her interface with ship systems. "Maybe not," she said slowly. "The device needs more power, more complexity. Human brainwaves are more complex than the device's algorithms if I link my neural implant to it." "You would die," said flatly. "Maybe, probably," Hana smiled grimly, "but it might work." Stared at her, then he did something unexpected. He laughed. "Humans," he said, shaking his head, "you are all completely insane, and I have never respected anyone more." Hana reached for her neural implant connector. Before she could attach it, Devourer drones poured into the chamber, dozens of them, weapons firing. "Protect her," roared. The remaining team members formed a wall between Hana and the drones. They fired their weapons, cutting down enemies. One by one, they fell. Fought like a demon, his blade carved through drone after drone, but there were too many. A drone's weapon hit his chest, tearing through his armor. He stumbled but did not fall. "Hana," he gasped, "do it now." She connected her neural implant to the device. Pain exploded through her head, pain like nothing she had ever felt. The devourer consciousness touched her mind, ancient and cold and hungry. But Hana pushed back. She pushed back with everything she had, every memory, every emotion, every experience that made her human. Joy and grief, love and rage, hope and despair, all of it flooding into the connection. The devourer consciousness had consumed thousands of species. It had absorbed their minds and understood them, but it could not understand this. Human emotions were too complex, too contradictory, too chaotic. The consciousness tried to process them and failed. Hana screamed as the device amplified her brain waves. The core began to crack. Saw what was happening. A drone was raising its weapon toward Hana. With his last strength, threw himself between them. The blast hit him in the back. He collapsed. "For the galaxy," he whispered, then he was still. The core shattered. The devourer consciousness died with a psychic scream that echoed across space. Every devourer ship felt it. For one terrible moment, 500 vessels lost coordination completely. In the battle outside, Captain Park once saw it happen. The devourer's ships, which had been moving with perfect precision, suddenly became confused. They crashed into each other. They fired at empty space. The unified fleet became a scattered mob. "They did it," Park breathed. "They actually did it." "All ships attack," Admiral O commanded. "Now is our chance." The Allied fleet surged forward. Ship after ship opened fire on the disoriented devourers. Without their central mind, the enemy was vulnerable. But the battle was not over. The devourers still outnumbered them. A devourer carrier was heading straight for a damaged vessel filled with survivors. The Resolve was the only ship close enough to stop it. Park made his decision instantly. "All power to engines," he ordered. "Ram that carrier." Captain protested. "The ship won't survive the impact." "I know." Park stood from his chair. "All hands, abandon ship. Get to the escape pods, that's an order." The crew hesitated, then they began moving. "Captain," said through the intercom, "I'm staying. Someone needs to keep the engines running." Sung Ho. "Don't argue with me. I've kept this ship alive for 2 years. I'll keep her alive a little longer." Dr. Jin appeared on the bridge. "I'm staying too. You'll need medical help." Park looked at the two of them. He wanted to order them to leave, but he knew they wouldn't listen. "Thank you," he said simply. The Resolve accelerated toward the Devourer carrier. Warning alarms screamed. The hull groaned under the stress. They hit. The impact was massive. The Resolve's front section crumpled like paper. The carrier's hull tore open. Both ships spun wildly through space. Park was thrown against a console. Pain erupted in his chest and his head. Through blurred vision, he saw the carrier breaking apart. "We did it," he whispered. The Allied fleet destroyed the remaining Devourer ships. Without coordination, without their command vessel, the enemy fell apart completely. In 30 minutes, 500 Devourer vessels were reduced to burning wreckage. The battle was over. The galaxy was saved. 3 days later, Park woke in a medical bay. His body was wrapped in bandages. Everything hurt. "Welcome back, Captain," Doctor said. She was bruised and bandaged herself, but smiling. "The crew?" Park asked. "Most survived. The escape pods were picked up by Commander's ship, is in surgery but stable." And she paused, her smile growing wider. "Lieutenant Commander is alive." Park closed his eyes in relief. "How?" "We don't know. The strike team found her unconscious next to the destroyed core. She should have died from the neural feedback, but humans are stubborn, I suppose." A holographic screen activated, showing his face. The old was crying, something Park had never seen her do. Captain Park said, "I am making this broadcast to the entire galaxy. The Devourer fleet is destroyed. The war is over." He paused to compose himself. "We owe our survival to many brave souls from many species, but we owe a special debt to humanity. When all hope faded, they refused to surrender. They taught us what we had forgotten, that hope is not given, it is made." Looked directly at Park. "On behalf of the Galactic Council, I thank you. The statue we build will not capture your courage. The songs we write will not capture your sacrifice, but we will try. Forever, we will try to be worthy of what you gave us." The broadcast ended. Park lay in silence, letting the words sink in. A few minutes later, another message arrived. This one was from Earth. Park read it and began to cry. The siege of Earth had been broken, the Devourer forces there had collapsed when the command ship died. His was safe, his family was alive. Hana visited him the next day. She moved slowly, still recovering from her injuries, but her eyes were bright. "We did it," she said, sitting beside his bed. "You did it," Park replied. "That thing you did with the neural implant, I've never heard of anything like it." Hana shrugged. "I just showed them what being human feels like. Turns out they couldn't handle it." They sat in comfortable silence for a while. "What now?" Hana asked finally. Park thought about it. The war was over. The galaxy was in ruins, but it would rebuild. There would be a place for humans in the new order, a place of honor that they had earned with blood and sacrifice. "Now we go home," Park said, "and then we help everyone else do the same." Hana nodded. "Sounds good to me." Outside the medical bay window, stars shone in the darkness. Somewhere out there, civilizations were beginning to hope again. All because one small ship and its stubborn human crew had refused to give up. The resolve was destroyed, but what it stood for would live forever. That was the human gift to the galaxy. Not weapons, not technology. Just hope carried forward no matter the cost. And that made all the difference.